A well-known captain in the high-stakes world of commercial fishing is facing major backlash. Reports suggest controversies surrounding
Jake Anderson has lived his life on the edge of survival, weathering storms, family tragedies, and battles most people never see. But nothing could prepare him for the blow that would strip him of everything. In an instant, the foundation he had worked so hard to build crumbled, leaving him standing at rock bottom once again. Jake Anderson's path seemed almost predetermined. For 3 generations, his family had worked the unforgiving waters of the Pacific Northwest, pulling crab from the sea. It was only natural that he would step onto a deck himself, battling the icy waves off Alaska with cages full of crab crashing onto the boat. What no one could have predicted was that he would also become a television star. His entry into commercial fishing aligned perfectly with the rise of reality television, and soon, he found himself as part of Discovery Channel's hit series Deadliest Catch. But before Anderson became known as a fisherman on national television, his ambitions were far different. As a teenager, he dreamed of becoming a professional skateboarder. That dream, however, ended abruptly when a devastating injury left him sidelined and directionless. He admitted to the Skagit Valley Herald that after the accident, he felt like he had given up on everything. In his early 20s, he slipped into substance use. The addiction consumed him, pushing away friends and leaving him homeless. For 2 years, Anderson drifted through the streets. He once described the humiliation of wandering aimlessly at 4 or 5 in the morning, lost in guilt and self-destruction. At one point, he was so overwhelmed that he did not believe he would live past 25. But shortly after his 24th birthday, he sought a way out. Anderson moved to Alaska, took a job on a fishing boat, and attempted to rebuild his life. His professional fishing career began in 2007, thanks to his uncle, Nick Mavar, a deckhand on the Northwestern, and an original member of Deadliest Catch. Anderson's presence on the show grew quickly, and over time he appeared in more than 200 episodes, eventually rising to captain of his own vessel, the Saga. Yet fame and success did not shield him from profound personal tragedy. In one of the most heartbreaking moments ever captured on reality television, Anderson received devastating news while at sea. His older sister, Chelsea, had passed away. Chelsea's life had been marked by illness from an early age. Diagnosed with juvenile rheumatoid arthritis at just 2 years old, she endured decades of pain, seizures, and eventual dependence on prescription medication. By her mid-30s, her health had declined dramatically, and she was also diagnosed with schizophrenia. In 2009, at the age of 37, she died from complications of pneumonia. The following year, tragedy struck again. In January 2010, Anderson's father, Keith, disappeared after leaving home for a short trip. He never returned. His truck was found abandoned on a logging road in Skagit County with blood on the key fob and windshield, deepening the mystery. For Anderson, the call from his mother about the discovery of the truck was one of the most haunting moments of his life. He immediately feared the worst. The circumstances of Keith's disappearance remained shrouded in uncertainty. He had been battling depression and an OxyContin addiction after enduring multiple surgeries, and the timing was haunting. It came on the first anniversary of Chelsea's death, a tragedy he carried on his shoulders. Family members recalled how he often slipped away to meet someone for pills, always returning hours later. But this time, he never came back. The absence left Jake drowning in grief and questions with no answers. He even confessed to envying fellow cast members Josh and Jake Harris, because at least they had the chance to bury their father. For Jake, the silence surrounding Keith's fate was not just painful, it was torture. But as Jake tried to steady his life on land, the sea was about to test him in ways no one could imagine. The crew of the FV Saga faced one of the most terrifying ordeals ever captured on Deadliest Catch. Their vessel was caught in a violent storm that pushed both boat and men to the brink. For Jake Anderson, who had only recently taken command of the Saga in Season 11, it was a trial by fire. Towering 40-foot waves hammered the ship, washing over the deck with such force it seemed the sea might swallow the vessel whole. In the chaos, 2 massive walls of water struck the Saga back to back, engulfing the deck and forcing the crew to fight for their lives. For a moment, it looked as though men would be swept into the freezing waters of the Bering Sea. Deckhands described the terror of trying to stay upright as the boat disappeared beneath the waves, while those watching from the bridge realized just how close the Saga came to disaster. By sheer luck and relentless determination, everyone survived that night, though the memory left its scars. But storms weren't the only danger stalking the crew. In 2016, the saga endured a night of chaos that proved equipment could be just as deadly as the sea itself. As the storm worsened and the deck pitched violently, an 800-pound crab pot broke free. Suspended high above, it swung wildly like a wrecking ball, slamming from side to side with lethal force. Every man on deck scrambled for his life, dodging the deadly weight as it crashed inches from them. Watching from the wheelhouse, Jake Anderson could do little but shout orders and hope his crew managed to tame the chaos. After a desperate struggle, the men finally stabilized the pot, narrowly avoiding what could have been a fatal accident. Through all of this, Jake Anderson continued his long, complicated journey at sea. By 2022, fans caught an unexpected glimpse of his personal struggles. A photo posted by Mandy Hansen showed Jake smiling against a beautiful mountain backdrop. Yet many fans overlooked the scenery and focused on what he held in his hand, a cigarette. Though sober from drugs, Anderson had picked up smoking, sparking worry among fans who feared it was taking a toll on his health. Concern poured in online, with many urging him to quit before it cost him years of his hard-earned recovery. Still, the sea demanded his attention. For over a decade, Anderson had captained the saga and fought for survival on Deadliest catch. But at the start of Season 20, his world collapsed in a way he had not expected. Legal issues involving his business partner left him stripped of ownership of his boat. One day he was preparing for the lucrative red crab season, and the next, the saga was gone, locked, repossessed, and out of his hands. He had invested everything, even his children's college fund, only to lose it all over a weekend. The timing could not have been worse. The Red King crab fishery was finally reopening after years of closures, and Anderson had no boat to fish it. Left with nothing, he turned back to his mentor, Captain Sig Hansen, and rejoined the FV Northwestern, the vessel where his career had begun nearly 2 decades earlier. It was a humbling return, a full-circle moment where the once ambitious greenhorn had to admit he was no longer a rival, but simply another man trying to survive the grind of the Bering Sea. And then came another devastating blow. In September 2024, while at sea, Jake received the heartbreaking call that his best friend and Saga's longtime engineer, Tom Brossard, had died suddenly of a heart attack. The loss shattered him. Brossard had taught the crew to weld, becoming more than just an engineer. He was a brother. On camera, Jake broke down, overwhelmed by memories of their bond. Losing his closest friend while still battling the unforgiving sea drove home just how fragile life could be. Away from the water, he carried Tom's memory with him, but the weight of that loss, someone who had stood beside him through every high and low, was nearly unbearable. And just when it seemed he had endured the worst, fate proved he hadn't. The Season 21 premiere of Deadliest Catch opened with a scene that shook even the most seasoned viewers. A life-threatening ammonia leak aboard the Titan Explorer, more than 380 miles from Dutch Harbor. Captain Jake Anderson had set out determined, the first to leave the dock despite 100-mile-per-hour winds and brutal seas. Early success seemed to justify the gamble. Within hours, he had hauled in thousands of dollars worth of crab, fueling his hope that this season could finally secure ownership of the Titan Explorer. But that hope evaporated as the sharp, suffocating smell of ammonia spread through the vessel. Ammonia, invisible yet deadly, carried the risk of explosion. As alarms blared, Jake raced through the ship, securing doors, until he found one left open. He made the call no captain ever wants to make, shutting down the power. The ship went dark. With the main engine offline, the Titan Explorer began to take on water and list dangerously to one side. Recognizing the escalating danger, Jake sent out a distress call. The Wizard, captained by Keith Colburn, was the closest vessel. Knowing the risk, Jake prepared his crew to abandon ship. The next episode picked up in the middle of the crisis. Jake's Mayday signal echoed across the Bering Sea, with other captains listening anxiously to the voice of their fellow fishermen in trouble. Just hours earlier, the ammonia leak had driven the Titan Explorer's crew off their $4 million vessel. Now it was a desperate race for survival. Captain Keith Colburn led the charge, scouring the waves until he spotted the crew's life raft. Relief washed over everyone when the rescue was complete. The sight of Jake embracing Keith in an emotional hug reminded the fleet, and viewers alike, of the razor-thin line between life and death at sea. But the saga wasn't over. Once the immediate danger eased, the Wizard pushed back toward the Titan Explorer. The choking stench of ammonia had thinned, and Jake was dead set on saving his boat. With a handful of crew, he climbed back aboard and forced the systems back to life. In the wheelhouse, the source of the chaos revealed itself. a missing safety cap on a valve, a small oversight with nearly catastrophic consequences. Keith could only admire Jake's resolve. Even after staring death in the face, Jake's first instinct was to fish. For Jake Anderson, tragedy has been a lifelong shadow. Family lost, friends gone, boats sunk, whole seasons wiped away. Yet what defines him is not the pain, but the way he rises against it, with grit, heart, and an unshakable will to provide for his family. What do you think about Jake Anderson? Will he ever regain control over Saga, or continue the rest of his journey on Northwestern? Share your thoughts in the comments below, and if you like this video, don't forget to like and subscribe to the channel, and click the next video on screen now for another interesting story.